All right, welcome to Fanatics Football, the football segment of the Fantasy Fanatics Podcast. I'm your host, James, and we got a full house back with us. We got Mete, Nate, and Terry. What's up, boys?
So,
All right. This is a huge game coming up, Super Bowl in 2 weeks. I'm so happy we have Terry with us because Cincinnati Bengals, baby. How do you feel, man?
Let's get it. Started with Ocho and now I'm here, boys. I mean, it's a long time coming. I mean, AJ and Dalton couldn't get it done. Palmer and Johnson couldn't get it done. Now we got Joe Burrow and Jamal Chase. So we one win away, baby. One win away. Let's get it.
Yeah, man. Really excited for you and the Bengals. Today's episode is going to be interesting. We'll recap what happened in the conference round for the NFL playoffs. We'll talk about another crazy surprise, and that was Tom Brady's retirement. We'll go through that. We'll talk about that. And then, we'll just do an early look at the Super Bowl. So, let's just get right into it. We'll start with the first game from the AFC side of the playoffs. The Cincinnati Bengals beating the Kansas City Chiefs 27-24. Crazy game. Bengals getting the upset here because I know most people thought the Chiefs would win this. We'll look at the stats first for the Bengals. Joe Burrow with 250 passing yards. He had 2 passing touchdowns and an interception. Getting to rushing, Joe Mixon on the ground, 21 carries for 88 rushing yards. And then through the air for receiving, T. Higgins, 6 catches, 103 receiving yards. Jamar Chase, 6 for 54 and a receiving touchdown. Samaje Perine had 3 catches for 43 yards and a receiving touchdown. I might as well just get to you, Terry, on the Bengals. Give me your thoughts on this game. Give me your thoughts on their run.
Okay, so for the whole game, let's start off with the first half. I mean, honestly, I probably was like you. You probably turned off your game like after the first half. It was like, 21-10 or something like that, 21-3, give or take. So then I turned it off. And then I remember in the third quarter or fourth quarter, Mete messages me saying, bro, you watching this game? And I'm like, nah, I turned it off the minute it started becoming a massacre. So then the minute I turned it back on, I think Burrow throws an INT. I forgot if it was to like Honey Badger or some other guy in the secondary, but I was like, I got to turn this thing off again. I'm just bad luck, So I think I forgot how much time I let pass by. I was like, okay, a minute and 2 passes by. Let me just watch the whole thing. Next thing I remember, Mete messaging me saying, oh, and all that. So it must have been a pick or a turnover, one of the two. So then that's when I continued watching, and then like they slowly start making the comeback. Third quarter, I think they put up 11 points on the Chiefs defense, and then after that, they held them to like 3 points into the fourth quarter, which was that game-time field goal. Outside of that, you saw the heads and tail thing. Again, I think, what do we call it? Bengals called tails, and then it was heads. So then we were all thinking, all right, if the Chiefs do go and get this touchdown, we're going to be having controversy for the rule. But then, surprisingly, the Bengals got the stop. Eli Apple with a deflection, and then I believe Jesse Bates and I forgot the guy's name. Oh my God, I should remember it because I was so happy once I saw that. But nice deflection by Bates into the DB's hands, and then we just ran it down the field. Outside of that, ice in his veins, McPherson kicked the field goal again, and we punched our ticket to the Super Bowl. So hey, you gotta love that, man.
Yeah, it's a crazy run for the Bengals. I think coming into the season, no one had even expected them to even sniff the playoffs, much less win their own division, much less make it all the way to the Super Bowl. Insane run for them. I guess we'll get to the stats for the Chiefs now. Patrick Mahomes, 275 passing yards. He had 3 passing touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions, one of them being in overtime. Getting to the rushing, Jerick McKinnon had 12 carries for 65 yards, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 6 carries for 36 yards. And then through the air, Travis Kelce, 10 catches, 95 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 7 for 78 and a receiving touchdown. And McCole Hardman had 3 catches for 52 yards and a receiving touchdown. I guess, Nate, I'm going to get to you on the Chiefs. KC Nation's eliminated. I guess, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I guess this time the Bengals were able to see Cena, so they were able to beat him. I guess this time around, I guess throughout the regular season, they were still like clearly one of the best teams in the league, but I feel like they were kind of um, a step less than the year they won the Super Bowl against the 49ers, and even the year that they made the Super Bowl but lost to Tampa Bay. So in some ways they were beatable, but I don't think anybody was expecting the Bengals to beat them. I think it was going to be I was expecting like kind of like a close game because Kansas City doesn't have the defense that they used to. So and the Bengals have a really good offense now, so it was pretty much gonna. I thought it was gonna go down to a shootout. Ended up being the Bengals made an amazing, I guess, third quarter drive, multiple really good drives, multiple really good stops. Being able to limit a Kansas City offense, regardless of um, what team it is, it's really impressive. And the Bengals, I don't think they were even a top 10 defense this year in the regular season, and they really stepped it up. So it was just a really incredible performance by the Bengals overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Even guys like Eli Apple, who we roast all the time, he actually stepped up in this game and he actually played well. So yeah, really good on the Bengals. Unfortunate for the Chiefs. They did get some big wins on the way, including that amazing overtime win against the Bills. I mean, even in overtime, the coin toss went their way, but the Bengals, I guess, did their part and got the stop. So yeah, really impressive for them. And yeah, they're going to the Super Bowl. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season? We'll move on to the next game now. This was the NFC side, NFC Championship. We had the LA Rams against the San Francisco 49ers, the Rams winning 20-17, another really close game here. We'll get to the stats for the LA Rams. We have Matthew Stafford with 337 pass yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and an interception. In terms of rushing, Cam Akers, 13 carries for 48 yards on the ground. Then through the air, Cooper Kupp doing what he's been doing all season, 11 catches, 142 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Odell Beckham Jr. had 9 catches for 113 yards. Kendall Blanton went 5 for 57, and Tyler Higbee had 2 for 18 in this game. Mete, I'm going to get to you on the Rams. I guess just give me your thoughts on this win.
Yeah, it was a great win for them, and they also punched their ticket to the Super Bowl. They kind of had a tough start. They were down 10-7 going into half and 17-7, if I'm not mistaken, at one point. So, yeah, Matthew Stafford threw a rough interception the first half. The second half, he was much better. He keeps hitting his main man, Cooper Kupp, who's been amazing this season. Odell Beckham Jr., he's been an amazing addition for this team. And yeah, everyone's talking about the Bengals story, but the Rams also have a story with Stafford, first time out of Detroit. He's got 3 playoff wins now. Same for Odell Beckham Jr. Earlier in the year, he was really getting heavily criticized during his time with the Browns, but now he's looking much better. So yeah, the Rams are also another team that's pretty easy to root for at this point.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot of guys on this team that are sort of bounced around the league or they haven't won at certain points in their careers. So definitely nice to see them getting the opportunity here to play for a Super Bowl with this win. I guess I'll take a look at the 49ers now. Getting to their stats, Jimmy Garoppolo, 232 pass yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and an interception. In terms of rushing, Deebo Samuel, 7 carries for 26 yards, and Eli Mitchell had 11 for 20. Then in terms of receiving, Deebo Samuel, 4 catches, 72 yards, and a receiving touchdown. Brandon Ayuk, 4 for 69. Eli Mitchell, 3 for 50 yards, and George Kittle had 2 catches for 27 yards and a receiving touchdown. I guess I'll talk about the 49ers here. I guess coming into this game, you guys know I was really believing in this team. I believe they had what it took to sort of get to the Super Bowl. Obviously, they were leading for most of the game. They had many opportunities to win it. They just weren't able to get consistent drives going. Deebo Samuel is probably their best player in this game, if I'm being honest. He was pretty much doing everything, whether it was on the ground or through the air. We saw him crying at the end of the game. He clearly had put everything into this game. So I definitely feel for him for sure. Honestly, that interception that was dropped there, I believe it was in the third quarter, early fourth, something like that, by the 49ers, that was a game changer. If they had caught that, they probably would have been able to get another score and they would have put the game away. But I think that was the turning point. The team kind of looked deflated after that. They couldn't get any offense going, and the Rams just capitalized on it. So, yeah, really good for this Rams team. And for the 49ers, I mean, they have a strong core of young players. They have Trey Lance coming up as well. So if they want to move away from Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, they can definitely free up some cap space in that sense. So I think this 49ers team, they're talented. It just wasn't their year. I feel like the Rams have a good shot of getting it done next Sunday. So yeah, really enjoyable game. Both of the games were really enjoyable. And yeah, congrats to the Rams and to the Bengals. Now let's move into the big news item for the week. Tom Brady's retiring, guys, and as a huge Brady fan, I kind of figured it could be coming, but I really didn't know what to expect. He announced it officially on Tuesday, I believe. And yeah, I guess I'll just start with you, Mete. I guess give me your thoughts on Brady. I guess anything about Tom Brady.
It was a pretty bizarre retirement as it was first reported on Sunday, and then Brady and his father is like, nah, we didn't say anything about that. So kind of got me thinking maybe he was actually going to come back, but I think it was announced on Tuesday by Brady himself that he is indeed stepping away and retiring, and definitely sucks. He's probably the greatest of all time in terms of just the best football player in the NFL who's ever played. I can definitely say that he's the best quarterback of all time. And yeah, it does suck that he's stepping away, but at this point, you kind of figured it was coming as he's 44, almost 45. So yeah, it does suck, but uh, it opens up an opportunity for the new generation of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I figured that as well. I mean, he did say that he wanted to play or he wanted to be finished playing by the time he's 45. So I guess he retired a year before we kind of expected him to. I guess just bouncing to you, Nate, I guess what are your thoughts?
I guess this is kind of the closest thing that people today are kind of experiencing. I guess with an all-time great retiring. I mean, I guess like in the 90s, Michael Jordan retired, and it was kind of like a really big thing. So I guess Tom Brady retiring is kind of like our generation's kind of version of that, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, and he's basically an all-time great quarterback, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, depending on how you rank it. He's the most, he has the most wins out of any quarterback for sure. And I guess it's kind of like the old, I guess the previous generation of quarterbacks are slowly retiring. I think Drew Brees retired last season, if I remember correctly. Ben Roethlisberger retired. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's getting up there. We don't know how long he's going to be staying. So it's kind of like the old guys are kind of leaving now, and we're kind of passing the torch on to kind of the new guys now, like Patrick Mahomes. We see Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl now, Lamar Jackson, guys like that. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like an end of an era kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely end of an era. I think guys, even non-quarterbacks like Gronk's, there's a chance he's going to retire, and then maybe Adrian Peterson as well. A lot of the old guard, high-end players from the previous era. I mean, like Larry Fitzgerald, he might be done with football as well. We don't know about that. So a lot of top guys retiring. I guess, Terry, I'll get to you. I guess, what are your thoughts on this whole Tom Brady retirement?
Well, as Mete said, like I think Adam Scheffner said something on Sunday saying how he retired. And then we heard the father say how, wait, my son ain't even mentioned anything about retirement to us yet. So, you know, the meme was going on for a couple of days saying how Tom Brady's going to come back. So I guess we all got accustomed to, you know, him going to come back for one more year, prove the haters wrong and all that good stuff, right? And then like just out of nowhere, like a flash of lightning, retirement on ESPN, Twitter, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, he's put up a great resume. 7 Super Bowl wins, 3-time MVP, I believe 5 times Super Bowl MVP. Probably a pest in almost every AFC East fan side for like what, almost 2 decades, something like that. And yeah, from what Nathan and Mete were summarizing as well, it's the end of an old era. Probably all of our childhoods when it comes to Adrian Peterson, Larry Fitz, Big Ben, Drew Brees, TB12. And I mean, we can always go into the discussion of who's going to be the GOAT, X, Y, and Z when it comes to quarterback at football. Some people still say Joe Montana. I guess the new breed of NFL fans would be saying Tom Brady, just due to the fact that they grew up with him. And that's a discussion we could probably have during the summer when we have more time. Outside of that, I mean, great career to Brady. Hopefully he can enjoy retirement with his kids and Giselle.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. You said 3-time MVP. There's still a chance he wins this year, so it could be 4. I know Aaron Rodgers, people think he has it locked up, but Brady does have stats to back him up. So I guess we never know. But yeah, so many great memories from Tom Brady over the years growing up watching him. I know, Terry, you mentioned 7 Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowl MVPs, something like that. Pretty insane. You talk about all the battles he had with Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, the Baltimore Ravens. I always knew that when the Patriots played the Ravens in the playoffs, it was always going to be a tough battle. There's so many good memories with Brady. All the records he has, him and Breeze going back and forth for that passing record, him passing Peyton for, I think it was touchdowns, just so many different things. Him and Brett Favre, him first having to pass Brett Favre, stuff like that. It's just great to watch his career unfold. What was he, the 119th overall pick in his draft year out of Michigan? Pretty much so many teams didn't believe in him. I think he was projected to go in like the 2nd or 3rd round that year, and he just dropped. And then he came and told Robert Kraft, I'm going to be the best player that's ever played for this franchise. And then he backed it up. So really good on Tom. He believed in himself. Some people call him the greatest competitor of all time. Some people say that's Michael Jordan. It's debatable, obviously. But at the end of the day, he just put in effort. He was a great team player. People criticize him because they say it's a team sport, but he was probably one of the greatest teammates of all time, which made him so great. So, yeah, it was great to watch his career. It's sad to see him go, but at the end of the day, everyone has to retire. Definitely some of the greats in other sports. Of course, LeBron James, his time's going to be coming soon. I guess for if you're talking about hockey, Sidney Crosby, he's now in his 30s as well. So all of these primetime guys from the previous decade, they're now getting up there. You definitely looking ahead to the future. I think Nate, you were mentioning that, and I think you said you forgot to mention some names. We can talk about Russell Wilson. We can talk about Josh Allen. And fingers crossed, maybe Mac Jones as well as a Patriots fan. So yeah, and I mean, I know Mete would probably throw Dak Prescott in there as well. So yeah, a lot of great young quarterbacks in this league. Definitely passing the torch in a sense. Brady, stepping out of the way to sort of let some of these other young guys shine. So yeah, great career from Brady. Sad to see him go, but he definitely left a lasting legacy. And yeah, he's recognized by a lot of people as the greatest of all time, especially since he was able to win with 2 teams. So a great career from Tom Brady, and we wish him nothing but the best in his future. Maybe he buys a team, maybe he coaches, who knows? But yeah, great career overall from Tom Brady. And yeah, the last thing on our list is to sort of take an early look at the Super Bowl matchup. So let's just hop right into that. I guess, Terry, I'll start with you. Looking at this matchup, Bengals are going to be on the road. And they'll be the only team on the road this year as the Rams get to play at home. Rams are favored by 4.5 points. I guess just give me an early outlook of the game, and I guess pick a side, who you think is going to win, who you think is going to cover, that kind of thing.
Oh my God. This is where it gets a little bit more dicey. Well, first off, let's go with the Bengals. Their offense, their skill players, their skill positions, as you may, probably how should I say? It's probably one of the better ones that we've seen in the postseason. compared to the rest of the teams that were in it at the start. Joe Mixon, you're probably hoping for him to, carve up the front seven a little bit. But outside of that, you're looking for Joe Burrow and the receiver core to, you know, spread out the secondary of the Los Angeles Rams and give space for other players to get their chances. Outside of that, I mean, if you're looking at the offensive line, you're hoping for them to try and minimize the QB pressure because you do have Von Miller and Aaron Donald on the other side of the football. We'll get to Los Angeles in a minute, but let me try and talk about Cincinnati's defense. The secondary is kind of underrated when you look at the Bengals as a defensive whole. Guys like Jesse Bates, Von Bell, I forgot to mention Eli Apple, a decent guy that can cover maybe like that slot wide out, if anything, hopefully. And outside of that, their front three with Trey Hendrickson, DJ Reader, if he's still in, and Sam Hubbard. Hopefully they can provide some pressure and, make sure Stafford isn't waiting 30 seconds to find someone open. Outside of that, I mean, I want to say the Bengals should win it because, diehard Bengals fan got orange, black, and white in my blood and all that good stuff. But this is going to be the second time that a team does have home field advantage, which is going to be kind of intimidating, especially for a young Bengals team like this. But we see the way Joe Burrow has been, how should I say, carrying himself throughout the whole postseason, and he feels like he shouldn't get rattled in a game like this. He's going to treat it like another game, and you know what? With that type of confidence, you could possibly take money line. I'm not sure if you're going to do that this game, but give me Bengals since I'm the fan, right?
All right. And I guess, Nate, I'll get to you. I guess give me your thoughts, on this game.
I guess this is kind of on the Bengals side. This is pretty much an all-time great season by Joe Burrow. In my opinion, he's the best Bengals quarterback of all time, and if he wins the Super Bowl, that kind of cements it possibly. So there's that. I mean, he made the Super Bowl in his second season. I don't think too many quarterbacks have done that, so that's already a really impressive season. So it's gonna be kind of where does the Bengals go from here, whether they win or they lose. And I guess for the Rams, it's kind of like for Matthew Stafford, it's kind of him proving himself that he's a franchise quarterback. He can take a team basically all the way if you give him the right pieces. The Rams gave him the right pieces, and he took the Rams pretty much all the way to the Super Bowl. So I'm kind of expecting a shootout, kind of like Kansas City versus Cincinnati. I think both team defenses, they weren't the best in the regular season either, but they've both been able to get stops when it counts. So it should be a close game. I don't think any team is going to run away with the lead.
All right. I guess which side are you leaning for? I guess the winner and the spread.
I guess for the winner, I'll go with the Rams, I guess, but I think the Bengals can definitely cover.
All right. And Mete, I'm going to bounce to you. I guess give us an early look at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is a matchup not many people expected, and it's pretty exciting as Bengals, like Nate said, it's only Joe Burrow's second season, and it's his first full season as a starter. As we all know, unfortunately, he got knocked out of last season in his rookie year due to an ACL injury, I believe. So, yeah, great recovery from him, taking the team all the way to Super Bowl. The thing that scares me is 2 weeks ago against the Titans, the Bengals gave up 9 sacks, and although last week it didn't happen, I don't believe that the Chiefs' defensive line is as good as the Titans, and yeah, they're going to be up against Aaron Donald, arguably the best defensive lineman in the game. So That's a big concern for me. Hopefully, he doesn't wreak havoc on the Bengals as I am rooting for them. But defensively, I don't know. The Bengals, they played amazing second half. First half was kind of a different story. Minus the big stop at the end, right before the half ended. That was a huge play as well for them. So yeah, I think the Rams also beat them out on defense. Talent wise, not sure about the statistics, but I don't know. For some reason, I feel like the Bengals are going to get it done. They've been having such a crazy run this season. And yeah, I'm going with the Bengals. I think they can win this game. And I do feel like it might be a shootout, like Nathan said as well. So I think it'll be a great game for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think it'll be a great game. It's a new matchup we haven't seen before, which is always nice. Honestly, just looking at the game, um, I guess looking at the Rams first, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I think playmakers, like you guys have all been talking about Matthew Stafford. I think he's definitely been a huge playmaker for them. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham, guys like that. It's really solid overall. Really tough to cover on the defensive side of the ball. And then getting to the Rams defense, you got Aaron Donald, Von Miller, you got Jalen Ramsey. It's probably going to be glued to Jamar Chase for most of the Super Bowl. I think we can probably guess that. I mean, even Eric Weddle, I think he's leading them in like some category, whether it's tackles or something else at his age, which is pretty insane, that he's still playing at that high level. He has a very good football IQ as well. So, yeah, I really like what the Rams have going for them. And then I guess getting to the Bengals, Terry pretty much ran down the whole lineup. Joey Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, they have a solid offense as well. Even if CJ was almost not ready to go, I mean, Sample is not that bad of a tight end, in my opinion. He's had decent fantasy seasons. I think last year when Uzama was hurt. So, yeah, they should be able to send out a pretty good offense. And then, yeah, getting to the defense, you mentioned the line with guys like Hubbard and Hendrickson. There's just they have a lot of playmakers. Even their linebacking core has been really solid. I think even their linebacking core has been getting interceptions as well and forcing fumbles. So yeah, Bengals defense, Nate, you mentioned they've been solid throughout the playoffs. I definitely agree. Then you mentioned the secondary as well. We talked about Eli Apple making big plays, even though we've been roasting him for a lot of the season. Yeah, Jesse Bates and others like Von Bell, yeah, really solid. I think if they I think they have the personnel to be able to play the similar type of defense the 49ers played on the Rams to sort of limit them to 20 points or less. And yeah, as long as the Bengals can do that, they have an excellent shot of winning the game. I think their offense is good enough to keep up with the Rams, even though the Rams might have, I guess, higher end playmakers. Guys like Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham are probably the two best route runners in the entire game. So it's going to be really tough to defend them. So if they're able to generate pressure, I guess with less guys, they can sort of play maybe a double man or play like a zone nickel package or something like that to try and contain these two guys. It's going to be really tough. Cooper Kupp's going over 100 on everybody. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a close game. I agree with what Mete said. Who's going to win? It's really tough to say. I know last year we were surprised that Tampa Bay was home and they were the underdog, so they were kind of an easy pick. But this year, the right team is favored, I think, and that's the home team, the Rams. Yeah, I think I might have to just lean with the Bengals. I think that their surprise run, if it's going to end, it's going to end on us still believing in them. So I'm going to keep believing in them. So yeah, give me the Bengals to win and cover. It's going to be a tight game. It can go either way. But I think it's definitely going to be a great Super Bowl. I guess in ending the podcast, there's one bit of news we didn't get to. Washington football team changing their name. I know we probably shouldn't laugh at that, but they do change their name. It's the Washington Commanders now. Some people like the name, some people don't. I don't really mind it. The only problem is people have been calling them the Commies, which isn't great. But I guess, Mete, I'll get to you first. I guess any last thoughts on anything we talked about or the Washington team?
Yeah, last thoughts. It's been a pretty wild season for the NFL, and sadly, it's coming to an end next week. The off season's really long, so it's gonna be tough to see it go. But for the Commanders, I'm kind of with you. I'm like in the middle of the road. I don't think it's that bad of a name, but at the same time, it's not something like where I'm like, wow, it's an amazing name. Honestly, I kind of like the name Washington Football Team. Uh, kind of found it kind of funny, and it's just so subjective. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'll be missing that name. Hopefully, the memes will still live on. I'm sure it will. And good luck to the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, definitely going to be a lot of memes over the next couple of weeks as well. Nate, I'll get to you. I guess any last thoughts on any of the things we talked about or this Washington team?
I guess kind of like what Mete said, it's been a really crazy season. There've been some unexpected twists in the season for sure. Kind of happy overall with how it turned out, even though I'm kind of sad for the Browns because we couldn't make the playoffs, but hopefully we'll make it next year. And I guess for the Washington name change, I guess it's kind of just a continuation of the history of the name because their old name was a little bit controversial to some, so they decided to change it. But a lot of people liked the old name. There's some history behind it, so I guess some people didn't like that they changed the name to football team. It used to be Redskins before, but it's kind of controversial to have a name like that, especially now. So they decided to change it. And I guess football team just sounds really generic, so they decided to change it to Commanders. Personally, I'm kind of used to the name football team now, so I don't know. I just don't like the name. But I guess for Commanders, maybe it'll stick. Maybe next year they'll change the name to something else, to like Generals or something. I don't know. So I guess we'll just see.
Yeah, I guess my thoughts on that honestly is that they probably should have selected like 8 or 9 names and just had like a fan vote. And then like I think how Seattle did and all the fans voted Kraken and it ended up sticking and it ended up being a cool name, right? Like maybe if they would have done that with Washington, they could have selected a few names and then just put it in like a fan vote and it would have been nice. So yeah, I have mixed feelings about the name. I guess Terry, I guess what are your final thoughts on either that or the rest of the podcast?
Let me just talk about the team name change for a little bit. If you follow NFL memes on Facebook, I believe, or Twitter, one of the two, I believe there was some article that said how Jamar Chase ranked the name as an F or something like that out of all the team names that were available. So it shows you that the players didn't have really a choice in this. So outside of that, not really that much else. I mean, some of the other names that they could have chose from: Washington Defenders, Washington Admirals, Washington Presidents, Commanders there as always. I mean, they go from one controversial name in the Redskins to the Washington Football Team to the people that kicked out the Redskins from America. So, I mean, it kind of goes full circle, you know what I'm saying? Outside of that, the offseason is going to be full of a lot of moves, a lot of stories to go with it. I really don't got that much else. Thank you for calling me back up to the active roster from being on the practice squad. So appreciate being back on.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Washington football team, like their goal was to get something, I guess, military related. I don't know, all of those names you listed kind of seemed like that. So yeah, I guess Commanders is what they liked. We'll see if it sticks. See if they find a better nickname than the Commies, because I don't think that's great for the franchise. But yeah, Terry, anytime, man. It's great to see the Bengals, finally fulfilling their destiny. I know you've waited a long time for that to happen. I know both myself and Mete, our teams went out early, and of course the Browns didn't make the playoffs for you, Nate. So yeah, at least one of our teams went pretty far this year, which is nice to see. And yeah, that's going to be the end of Fanatics Football for this week. Just make sure you check us out on Instagram and Twitter at Fan Podcast. Definitely have the picks up for the Super Bowl. I think NHL is going into their All-Star break, but we'll have NBA picks up as well. So definitely go check that out. The podcast is going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Just make sure you like, subscribe, share, hit the bell for notifications on YouTube, leave us a review, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. And yeah, guys, I think pretty good podcast. We got to recap last week's action, talk about Tom Brady. We talked about Washington. We talked about the Super Bowl. So that was pretty good list of topics there. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys on the next episode.